Hi guys, today I'm going to be reading out some more of your storytime / confessions, so let's get straight into the video. So the first story is about a woman who dated a paedophile and didn't know until she broke up with him, so let's get straight into that story. I was 19 years old when me and my now ex first met. We started out as friends and about a month later he asked me to be his girlfriend. I didn't really like him that way, but I decided to give him a chance. Everything was going great and 3 months in he proposed to me and I said yes. But after that, things began to change. At the time we were living at my grandpa's house since we weren't making enough money to afford an apartment. I noticed he was blowing his money on alcohol and a bunch of unnecessary items. I didn't really question it at the time. Then about 6 months in, on July 4th, someone I knew sent me a screenshot of his Tinder profile. Now I would have thought, oh, maybe someone just stole a profile picture of him, except for the fact he was wearing one of my shirts in the photo. I confronted him in front of all of his friends that night and yelled at him. I ran away and started crying. I was heartbroken. He said he was sorry and he'd never do it again. After that he became more and more protective of his phone. One day I was using his car and found he had left his phone in the car. I had the urge to look through his phone even though it felt wrong. My instincts were right. I saw messages between him and another girl. And I snapped again. I was livid. I confronted him in front of his friend and yelled at him, and I ran away and hid at the one place I knew he wouldn't look at me, my old elementary school playground. Now this was summer and school was still out and in the middle of COVID. He kept texting me and asking where I was and I eventually gave up and told him. Again, he promised he wouldn't do it again. Things were fine for a couple more months and he started becoming super distant and cold towards me. I knew something was up. At that point, we were living with his brother in his trailer. My now ex had started to become emotionally abusive towards me and almost got me killed twice. He was drunk driving one night and refused to give me the keys, and he was speeding, almost 200 miles an hour, and got snarky with me when I was telling him to slow down. He looked at me disgusted and said, "Are you really that scared?" and rolled his eyes at me. Things went downhill fast from there. He got drunk and forced me to do stuff that I didn't want to do. A couple months later, we ended up breaking up because I had someone else drive me to another state to go buy a car. The only reason I had someone else drive me is because my ex was always drinking and refused to help me with anything, and I already knew that his answer would be no. And he thought I was going to sleep with that guy. I didn't really even know the guy that well. After the relationship ended, I found out some awful things. He went and asked his roommate if he could bring a 13-year-old over to drink, and when she refused, he said he was going to drive to another town to go get a drink with her. I had also seen a post on Facebook and was getting messages about him sending nudes to a 14-year-old girl. And he had met up with her at Starbucks. The worst part is he is on TikTok and I don't know what to do. I'm no longer in contact with him, but a lot of people in my hometown are still friends with him and have his back. And unfortunately, I don't have much proof to take him to court for the things that he did to me. So that was the end of story 1. Make sure to leave your thoughts and comments down below in the comment section on that story, and now I'm going to be moving on to the next one. This next story is about a girl who had her best friend's dad in love with her. So I was spending the night at my best friend's a lot and her family was really sweet and I loved them all. They were like my second family. Her dad, I'll call him Derek, would be texting me stuff like, "Am I picking you up from school today? Am I taking you home after practice?" And he would be really nice. At the end of May, he started texting me a lot more. I was on FaceTime with my best friend, I'll call her Rachel. He had texted me good night, but I didn't answer until about midnight. So I texted him and said good night, but he was still up and he started texting me. I was pretty comfortable with him because of how long I've known him, so none of this really bothered me. He was just texting me about boys or bullies and me being more mature than most others my age. And he wanted to stay up all night and text me, and I told him it was okay to go to bed. I'll be up for a while. He said he didn't want to go to bed, so I said okay, and I kept texting him. I was texting him until 8 in the morning, and he told me to go to bed because I need to sleep. at that time, which made no sense. After that, sometimes I had been on FaceTime with Rachel until 4 in the morning when she fell asleep. He would text me things like, "I hear your voice and I miss you," and just random things, so he will start paying a lot more attention to me. He always wanted to see me. It got to the point where I was laying on the couch and he asked me if I could come and lay next to him. Rachel was right there, so I didn't think anything of it, so I said yes. This happened 4 times, and nothing happened the first or second time. But something did the next time. So Rachel would walk out the room a few times, maybe every 30 minutes, and it was pitch black in the room. Derek looks to me and looks me in the eye, and he said, "I want to kiss you so bad right now, but I can't." I didn't believe what he said was true, and I didn't know how to feel. So Rachel comes back in the room and he lays down and we're just on our phones. And she lays down and we're just on our phones. So when she walks out again, he sits up and turns and looks at me in the eye for maybe a minute and a half, and he kisses me. I had never had my first kiss before, so I didn't know what to do. I stayed up all night and he kissed me maybe 3 more times that one night. He was hiding this from everyone in the house, from his 3 kids and his wife. What he called a relationship went on for 2 months, and there was a lot more than just kissing and texting. I went home one day and my parents caught him. Long story short, he ended up going to jail, but then he did get bailed out. And just for some background context of the story, she said the guy, Derek, was 49 years old and she was 14, and Rachel was 13. Now moving on to the next story. I am a 24-year-old man and I have a wife and she is 22 years old. My wife used to work 3 hours a day, but one day at dinner she told me that she had to work night shifts now. At first I didn't think anything of it, but when she came back from work she acted weird, like she was drunk at first. I didn't think anything of it. But it got weirder to one point that she passed out in the parking lot. My neighbours told me my wife fainted, so we called the ambulance. Once she was in the hospital, we were waiting 1 hour straight for the doctor. The doctor told me something that explained why she was always acting drunk. But the next day, she was better. But again, it was the same thing. She went to work, but this time I followed her. And she didn't go to her job. She went to a dark alley and she got drugs from this man. I saw she was coming towards me, so I hid. But then she got in her car and drove to a house I didn't know. I was watching what she was doing and a man had kissed her on the lips. And that's when I found out she was not just only doing drugs, she was also cheating on me. I took a video and when I got home, I went to bed, and the next day she came back. I confronted her and she said, "I'm sorry." I said, "Pack your bags and leave." Now for the next story. This girl is asking whether she's in the wrong or not for dumping her boyfriend in front of everybody. I, a 16-year-old female, was in a relationship with a boy, a male who is 17, for a while. We would usually flirt in cars for fun, but I didn't actually like him like that much. To me, he wasn't very good looking and I lost interest in him very fast. I also had a crush on another boy, Joshua, who is 17, but he was one of my best friend's boyfriends. When I was with him, he would sing songs to me and everything, but I thought it was weird, so I would laugh and I don't think he thought it was funny, and I kind of embarrassed him. So one day in the middle of the cafeteria, I told him I didn't like him anymore and that he was annoying and ugly, which I only blurted out because he called me a not so nice word in front of my friends. So then when I said that to everyone, he went quiet and everyone laughed at him. After the silence was over, he then told a staff member that I was smoking in the girls' bathroom, and I started crying because they were so close to calling my mum, and I begged them not to. Luckily they didn't, and I was happy. After that day I tried avoiding him, and eventually the guy I liked started to like me and we became official, and also his ex stopped seeing me, so I was happy after that. But am I in the wrong?